Shalom. 400 years. Do you feel any different? I don't feel any different. If you've been paying attention, yesterday, August 20th, was the day, according to many, that I guess the first slaves in the transatlantic slave trade stepped foot on U.S. soil. Boy, oh boy. I know that was like Neil Armstrong making his first footsteps on the moon. Yeah. I know they were like, oh shit. Yeah. Their new home for 4 centuries going started that day. Our ancestors, our bloodline. Supposed to have been a big deal yesterday. Officially being the 400-year mark. Every second after that, every second is adding on to the big 400. So what should we expect now? Now, for those of us who are acknowledging our Israelite heritage, 400 years is a big deal. And surprisingly, a lot of other folk are seeing it as a big deal too, yet I don't think they're acknowledging us being the Israelites. And the only thing I can wonder is, why would you be considering it being a big deal, us being here 4 centuries, yet you don't acknowledge us being the Israelites? I mean, what is 4 centuries? Was it a big deal to them 3 centuries, at the 3 century mark? You know? The year August 20th, 1919. Was that a big year? Was there any kind of celebration? Nope. Only now, 400 years, is it a big deal. Really and truly, it shouldn't be a big deal if you're not acknowledging us being the descendants of the biblical Israelites, because that's only place where the 4 centuries, 400 years really matters. And the Most High told Abraham that he would send his people away for 400 years into captivity for disobedience. Really? That's the only thing to consider when you talk about 4 centuries of us being on this land. There's nothing else of interest. There's nothing else of relevance. 4 centuries. You know, if you're not acknowledging our Israelite heritage, 4 centuries mean nothing. It's just another day. But what should we expect? Well, I do believe we should expect a drastic uptick in efforts to throw us off our heritage. Yep. A drastic uptick in ways to get us to turn to the left or to the right, if you will. You know, Stop looking in the way of our Israelite heritage. A lot of distractions, a lot of alternatives. I tell you what, it'll probably be a good time to be a black celebrity, because what I'm getting the vibe of is that there is a concerted effort to give black celebrities more opportunities. You know, we see Jay-Z and Beyonce being given some kind of contract with the NFL where they will be the ones in head of the halftime show performances at the Super Bowls for now on. They'll decide who performs and what is performed. You know, stuff like that is naturally meant to make headlines. And the psychology of it all is to give us an idea, give us a feeling that we can look forward to good things in this country. That we shouldn't be clamoring to go elsewhere. That we should not be clamoring to return to our homeland, our land that was given to us by the Most High, that was given to our forefathers. You know, why go there? Why go back there when everything is going well for you here in America? I think we're going to see a big uptick in that kind of stuff. Needless to say, there's going to be a lot of us that will take the bait, that will clamor to stay in America. Hell, seems like they're even doing us the service of creating an offshoot of our Israelite movement that believes that America is the actual promised land. How nice is that? I talked about that one before in another video, and it still boggles my mind. Really, it does. But I recently read, you know, I read the Bible every day. I try to read a chapter a day, and I remember things, but I don't remember them explicitly. I haven't been taking notes, but there was there's always a handful of certain passages and chapters that really, you know, stick with you, even though you may only read it one time. It's something that really caught your eye, caught your mind. And I'm thinking about, I recently read this chapter again. It's 1 Kings 13, where it's talking about Jeroboam and how he erected all these high places, and he brought the golden calf worship to the Israelites, you know, and how a prophet of Yah came to him and told him what would happen. He prophesied the coming of King Josiah, who, you know, of course, once he came, cleaned up all kind of stuff in Israel, but he was ultimately killed. But this prophet of Yah told Jeroboam what was going to happen to him, how Josiah was going to clean up the land. And then he left. the prophet of Yah. And he was told to not eat or drink anything in that land, not to return back through the way he came. So the Most High basically told him to make a straight line. Go there, tell him what I tell you to tell him, and then keep on walking straight ahead. Don't turn around and go back. Don't stop for water. Don't get anything to eat. This prophet was told this directly from the Most High. From his mouth did he hear this, these orders. But while this prophet was making his way along the line to leave, not turning around to go back the way he came, another prophet approached him, having heard about what he prophesied to Jeroboam. This prophet asked him to return to his home with him so that he may eat and drink. Well, of course, since the prophet that prophesied to Jeroboam was told directly by Yah, the Most High, to not return to that land, to not turn around, to not eat or drink anything, he told the same thing to him. Now, this other prophet that offered eat and drink decided to lie to this prophet. He decided to tell this prophet that the Most High told him to come get him. So the true prophet of Yah believed him, returned back the way he came to this man's home. He ate, he drank, and while he was eating and drinking, the Most High did manifest himself through the man that lied. But he manifested himself to tell this prophet that you have done what I told you not to do. And then he went on to tell him what will happen to him, that he would be killed. The next day, he left on his mule, and on his way, he was killed by a lion. So I mentioned that story to kind of put in perspective what it is I think we're going to see now. We're going to see a lot of people proclaiming to be prophets, proclaiming to have heard the word of Yah. And in doing so, they are going to tell you things that will be contrary to what you've read in Scripture. If you look at Scripture as the word of Yah, if you look at Scripture as the Most High's voice to your mind, then these prophets can only be seen as this prophet that lied to this other prophet, that deceived him and made him go against what the Most High directly told him not to do. We have to be careful. People have all kind of agendas and motivations. They will lead you astray. They will tell you things That's simply not true. And they'll tell you these things to persuade you to go against what you heard directly from the Most High through Scripture. That's what we have to be wary of. That's what we have to be on the lookout for. I cannot confess to have heard the word of the Most High. I cannot confess to have experienced Him giving me visions or anything like that. But what I have noticed happen from time to time is that I will stumble upon a piece of scripture that really seems to be relevant for me at that time. Like 1 Kings chapter 13. I think that's a very relevant piece of scripture for the time that we're in now and for what we will be experiencing now. Shalom.